And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. So it's live with Yana tonight, and tonight's topic is how to overcome job search setbacks in IT industry. Thank you so much for finding some time to join our live discussion. Please make sure to introduce yourselves in the comments. Let us know what you do and join our conversation with your comments and questions. I'll just pop it on the screen as well. So yes, make sure introduce yourself, because it's nice and you introducing yourself, so we feel that someone's here and someone listening to us. So and obviously let us know where you're watching us from, how you're going with lockdown, and so on. So if you're new to my live show, I'm Yana Martins, and I've recently started my journey as IT recruiter. So hence I started a new YouTube channel dedicated to IT career in Australia. So again, tonight we're going to talk about how to overcome job search setbacks in IT industry. And Huon is going to share her valuable insight and techniques when it comes to job search in IT. As she mentioned, before, no job search is perfect. There will be some setbacks, and there will be jobs you apply for here, nothing. So how we can make sure that we don't give up and we keep going and keep searching. So that's our topic tonight. So obviously it's an incredibly relevant topic for some of us. Please make sure tag and share it with your colleagues and friends who's looking for a job at the moment and need to hear this. So before I'll pass it on to Huon to introduce herself, I just want to remind you that we're going live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So if you want to watch replays, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, IT Career in Australia. So I'm going live every Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Melbourne time, with various experts from my network. And we're talking about all things about IT career, job search, and specifics of IT industry in Australia. So we are going to answer all your questions from all the platforms, but please make sure stay on the topic. You can, ask as many questions as you want, but please don't ask, like, what do I need to put in my resume and things like this, okay? Because like resume, it's just like a massive separate topic. Maybe we'll cover it sometimes, but yes, so please no questions about like how to optimize my resume. Massive topic, we'll just dive in too much. So let's concentrate on the setbacks today. And that's basically enough of me talking. Michael is here, of course. Thank you, Michael, for joining us. Good evening. I'm not sure what's your name. I'm Zbabu. Please put your name in the comments, because obviously it's your YouTube channel name, so we can say hi to you. Anyway, thank you so much, and I'm passing it to Huon to introduce herself. Please welcome.
Hi, thank you, Yana. It's really fun to be here. So, yes, my name's Huon. I'm based in Melbourne, like Yana, and I work for General Assembly. So, we are a tech educator. We teach programs in software engineering and data science and user experience design. And I have the really, really awesome job of being a career coach at General Assembly. So if you study any of our 12-week programs or our 6-month programs, you'll work with a career coach one-to-one, and we'll help you to define your personal brand, to update your LinkedIn, to update your resume, to update your cover letters, ideally to learn to love cover letters. That's definitely my favorite part of a job application. And, a lot of what we'll do as your career coach is help you with the setbacks. So we know there's going to be some. Yeah, happy to be here.
Perfect. Thank you. And actually, we got a name, Armstrong. Thank you for popping your name in. Welcome. So I guess where we start, like it's a massive topic. But I guess before we start, I want to ask you guys, are you looking for a job at the moment? Is anyone who's listening to us tonight is actually going through some job search? And how you're going? Just share with us what kind of job you're looking for at the moment. And look, obviously, there will be some, as we mentioned, always will be some setbacks in your job search. And the first question, I guess, what's the first thing to remember then you hear no?
Yeah, I love this question. So the first thing to remember is it's usually not you. you haven't done anything wrong. And no's not a bad word. So you might hear no for a bunch of different reasons. So the first reason you might hear no would be that you haven't tailored your application to the actual job ad. So maybe you didn't mention the job title in the cover letter, or maybe your resume was lacking some of the key terms that you needed in there, in which case it is something you can figure out and you can take responsibility for and you can check. And that's, easy on free applicant tracking systems or, working with your network. But in so many cases, it's a no because we filled the job through our network. The job was advertised because we had to, according to company policy, but we already knew exactly who we were going to hire. Or we created the job for a specific person. And again, we just advertised it because we had to. So in a lot of cases, it's a no just because we already knew exactly who we were hiring. So that's the main reasons is often a no. 70 to 80% of jobs are filled through networking. So if you're just applying for job ads, we'll find a lot of no's. And the final reason is, someone might just be a stronger candidate. And that's actually, it's not your fault. It's not a criticism of you. That's just, if you were applying to be the top runner and the other applicant is Usain Bolt, it's going to be a no to you. And that's not a criticism. That's just reality.
Michael, of course, have a question. No is the best. It saves me from accepting a role that then regretting it, and it's the way that, and it's better than silence.
I totally agree. Something we always talk about with people studying through General Assembly is, I want you to know exactly who you are, right? So if a company is going to hire you, Yana, they're going to hire a great communicator, they're going to hire a people person, and they're going to hire someone who has high empathy and cares, right? And if they already have multiple team members who are like that, it might be a no because you're not really filling a skill gap they need. Maybe you hit those things that they ask for in the job ad, but maybe what they really need is and I'm not trying to cast aspersions, but maybe they just need someone who's going to sit down and not talk to anyone and get stuff done. But you're a people person, and so you're going to ask how it could be better and what could be done differently, and they already have that person. So maybe it's a no because you have very accurately showcased who and what you are, and that's not what the team needs right now. Like, job ads are dot points. There's so much they don't tell us about the job. So
100%. And especially, there's a lot of people who are great at generating ideas and no one there to like implementing. So
exactly. Or you might be entering a team, like a sort of a legacy team where there's, 3 people who've been in the company for 20 years, and maybe they're really looking for someone that they can coach and they can nurture and they can support. And so, maybe you come in and you're like, I like working independently and this is who I am. And if you hear a no, that's good, because that team's looking for someone they can give information to, and you're saying, oh, I don't really want that. So just adequately pitch yourself.
And I guess, what kind of your tips on like preventing this like unwanted no's, and how we can accept it, because in the beginning it might feel uncomfortable getting too many no's, like what's your advice on feeling better about it?
Feeling better about no. So recognize where there's a no you can control. A lot of the no's you can't control because it is stuff that you didn't do. What you can control is this. You can control whether your LinkedIn profile gives us clarity around what you want and about where you want to go and about what cultures align with how you like to work. You can work on your cover letter and resume and making sure they're tailored, of course, but you can also control your response. So, my 6-year-old, when I say no, he often can't control his response. He is just like, oh, what I want, right? But you're a grown-up. You can control your response. So I have worked with a student who had the best idea. Every time he got a no, he would sew a gold star onto this really cool military jacket he had. And his plan was that on his first day in his new job, he would wear his sort of coat of armor of all those rejections. It was his progress, or you might choose to get a paint by numbers from Kmart. They're $10. They're very good lockdown activity. I highly recommend. And maybe color in one bit every time you get a no. Have a way to track your progress, because I can tell you statistically, if you're applying for a job in a stream that you're already in, so if you're going from an IT role to an IT role, 2021 may be an exception to this, but in normal times, just because the job market's so hot, but in normal times, you can expect 100 applications to net 10 interviews to net 1 job offer. Okay, so you're still playing very much a numbers game, and there's going to be some no's along the way. Find a way to make the no's track as progress for you.
Yeah, 100%. And what are we going to do with the things that we can't control?
Well, I love that you've asked this. I've prepared a slide on this. So I've done a lot of research into what you should do and what you can do. And I want to be really realistic. When you found a dream job, right, and you've tailored that dream application and you've networked and you want it and you've shown to the very best of your ability that you want it and you get a no, it is going to suck. It's going to break your heart a little bit. And I want you to just recognize that. Like, that doesn't make you weird. That doesn't make you crazy. That doesn't make you, it doesn't mean you have to stop. You don't have to stop job searching because you got that no. It happens. You don't get the dream job every time. What the research I've done suggests is that you should schedule time to worry. So you can, and you might already, sit around at home worrying, what if I didn't do enough? What if they don't like me? What if I'm not good enough? What if someone better applies? Yeah, what if? Yeah, cool. Schedule 15 minutes, because you can kill your productivity, and you might do no more applications or no more things that light you up because you're so stressed and worried. Schedule time. Maybe every morning you wake up and you sit down with a diary and you worry hardcore for 15 minutes. What if? And then you just get on with your day. Actually, don't recommend the morning is a good time to do it, but maybe you hate mornings and that's natural for you. But
the best time to do it, Friday afternoon, because you don't even want to worry about it because you're already thinking about your Friday afternoon drink.
Yes, I love that. Do it just before you pick up a glass of champagne to celebrate, a week completed, particularly if you are in lockdown. So find a time that works for you. We were chatting about this earlier, and I said to you, I worry at 8:30 each night because I've got little kids. I'm so busy getting them into bed. By 8 o'clock, they're finally in bed. I'll watch one garbage thing on Netflix, and then I'll worry, what's my schedule tomorrow? What have I forgotten? What did I fail to do? What am I not good enough for? What am I missing out on? And then, 8:45 comes around and I watch the next episode. Currently it's F1 on Netflix. Highly recommend that if you like weird and niche reality TV. But just schedule it. And then when you hit that 15 timer, stop. Focus on the good stuff. Focus on what's working. Focus on what you can control. Because there is a lot of stuff outside your control. And for so many of us, particularly in IT, where we tend to be detail-oriented people, we want to control it. We want to fix it. But you can't. So, you have to just be aware that there will be things outside your control.
David is saying, I've seen senior executive react the way you describe your 6 years old does.
We'll take that as a comment, David. Thank you. Yeah.
Armstrong is saying another important point is addressing all the selection criteria for a job.
Interesting. Okay. With respect, Armstrong, no, it isn't. So a job ad is a wish list. There will be stuff in there that they do not expect, that they hope someone will apply with, but they absolutely don't expect. So there's a bunch of stuff that happens when we write a job ad, but a lot of what happens is someone in HR who isn't in the IT team, isn't in the IT field, isn't an IT expert, gets told, hey, we need we need to replace this role. And they look at a past job ad, they look at, what the seniors in that team say they need, and they make a few little tweaks, and then they put it out on Seek or they put it out on LinkedIn and they say, yep, that'll do. That's not true for all companies. Some companies pay lots of great care and attention in writing really great job ads, and you'll see that. those job ads stand out. They have a sense of personality and character, and they talk about, you need to have this, but we'd love to see this, but if you've got more, please apply. And if you don't hit every dot point, please apply if you want to. So selection criteria, look, you want to hit at least 60%. You don't want to have none of those dot points. You want to have 60%. And then you want to have a cultural fit. Research the company and show that you have. I always say to my students that applying for jobs is like dating, but there are some differences. So you want to look interested, you want to look interesting, you want to show that you care. But if you sat down at a date and said, hey, I stalked your LinkedIn and your website, and I know your date of birth and I know everything about you, that date would get up and run away. And so they should. But if you send a job application or you have an interview and you say, hey, I stalked your LinkedIn and your website and I know everything about you and I understand your business direction. Here are where my skills fit into what you asked for. I don't have these skills that you asked for, but I actually really love your company and I can learn those things. They're hard skills. I can promise I have the ability to learn those things. And you didn't ask for this, but I've got these skills too. You look considered, you look well researched, and you look like you care about our business. And ultimately, that's who we want to hire. Like, we can teach you hard skills. It's not hard. We can't teach you a good attitude. So demonstrate that you've got a good attitude more than that you hit the dot points.
Here's a dead joke from Michael. There goes my dating strategy. No wonder I'm single.
Yeah. So maybe just
stop stalking people
at home. Yeah.
Companies advertise for unicorns and will happy hire a rhino. Yeah, so I guess we keep mentioning this, that sometimes you put everything nice to have in the job requirements, but it's basically just impossible to find something that will match it.
Absolutely.
And I guess coming back to scheduling time of worry and stuff when you're getting those no's, and another thing, you can hear the no, but another annoying thing, and I think Michael already mentioned, is it's hearing silence.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
And sometimes probably silence is even more annoying than
Absolutely.
no, because you can worry about it longer because you don't even know what's going on. So what should we do when we hear nothing and we don't want to be, feel desperate and calling the hiring manager every day and seeing how's my application go? So where is the balance?
All right. Sorry. I've read research that says job boards, so something like Seek, has a 4% response rate. And what that means is 4% of applicants will hear yes or no. That doesn't mean 4% hear yes or 4% get invited to interview. 4% hear anything. 96% hear nothing, which is garbage. And honestly, we need to do better. So if you want to apply to somewhere that you'll get that no or that yes, look into the Circle Back initiative. If you go to LinkedIn and you write into the search bar Circle Back initiative, you will find a banner for companies that have signed on to responding to every single applicant. So look for companies that actually have good hiring processes and that treat applicants with a bit of respect. So that's step one. For those businesses that you're going to apply to, and whether it was human error or lack of time or whatever reason you're going to hear nothing, you're going to hear nothing sometimes. What you need to do is follow up. So I want everyone in the whole world to understand there is no such thing as standing out too much in the job search. You want to stand out. You, in fact, want to be number one. So you need to follow up. If you sent a job application for, an advertised job and you haven't sent sort of a cold application, or you haven't networked for the job, so there's been a job ad on Seek and you've applied, you need to follow up 1 week after the job ad closes or 2 weeks after you applied, if it sort of has a vague date. So some of them will say applications close October 5th. You want to follow up 1 week later to see if your application was received. You can say you're just following up to see if your application was received, or you might be able to say something like this. And if you use Gmail, this sometimes happens. I'm checking to see if my application was received. I've missed out on roles I really wanted in the past. because of technical errors. And I wanted to make sure that wasn't the case here because I really want this role. You will find sometimes following up can be tricky because you might not have an email address, like you might have applied through a portal, but use LinkedIn to follow up with who you predict to be the hiring manager or the team that works there. Hey, I was wondering if you could check for me. That's when networking is going to bring in some additional touch points to make sure your application was received. The other thing you can do is, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, look, I applied for something 3, 4, 5 weeks ago, what do I do? And maybe it's a job you really, really wanted. I want you to write an email to them that says, hello, you can send it to inquiries at or careers at or whatever. Find a general email address and hope for the best. At least you're taking action. I want you to say something along the lines of, I applied for this role and I'm making an assumption that given the amount of time that's passed, I wasn't successful. And I totally understand that given, the job and the culture that you have, you would have had some really amazing applicants. What I would be curious to hear from you if you have time is one piece of feedback on what I could have done better or differently so that I'm successful next time I apply. I don't want you to write emails to people asking for feedback. Hey, can I have some feedback? Most people are hugely uncomfortable with the idea of giving feedback and receiving feedback. So they will either be like, nah, or, oh, I don't know what to say that's not going to hurt their feelings, so they'll do nothing. Ask for one specific thing that you could have done better or differently to be more successful. I've supported students who have sent emails like this to follow up 4, 5, 6 weeks later who have gotten jobs. They've said, look, our preferred candidate didn't work out. We love your attitude. We'd like to interview you. So it gives you that real touch point to say, hey, I actually really did want this job. And hey, I actually track my applications. And hey, can you tell me why I didn't get it? Is there a piece of information for me? I can't promise people will get back to you, but I can promise you'll end up with more information than you have if you don't follow up. And the other time I want you to follow up, and what you might have seen in the slide when Yana showed it, is this. You might have so awkward. You might have sent an application with a cover letter that was misaddressed, or you might have mentioned the wrong job title in your resume, and you press send, and then you go, oh my God, I need to go die. And that's okay. Take 10 minutes, have a glass of gin, do whatever you got to do. That's okay. And then send them an email and follow up and say, look, I made a human error. I'm so sorry. Obviously, I'm looking for a new role. I am really interested in your role. Here's the cover letter I wrote for you. Here's the resume I wrote for you. Make sure they look distinctly different. So maybe if your resume has the same content, change the color scheme or something so they can see, oh yeah, this is different. We all make mistakes. And I also have seen people get jobs by owning their mistakes. Because if you can own mistakes in a job application where you kind of don't have any skin in the game yet, imagine how much ownership and responsibility you'll show when we employ you, right? It shows a good mindset. So there's nothing you can't follow up on, and you should always follow up. So when you're applying for jobs, track it in the spreadsheet and add a column that tells you when you need to follow up on each job.
There is so many great tips there, Huon. Let me, I guess, just summarize it, because I think everyone needs to just, write down exactly, that email that you suggest for following up. Yeah. So firstly, make sure your application is received. Great idea. Instead of in the beginning asking people, did I get a job? What's happening? Yeah, good idea. Just check if the application been received, as simple as it is. Yes, no. So it's not kind of giving that much time from the person who looking at the application. Asking for one piece of the feedback instead of, open question. People will be more willing to give you, one idea. And yeah, earning mistakes. Here we go. Here's 3 top tips. 3 top tips for following up. Without being, feel like you following up too much or not enough.
Exactly. And while we're talking about following up, because I think actually following up is probably the key to every good thing that I've ever done. If you have a chat with someone on LinkedIn about a job that might come up in a month or 2 months or something like that, and I hope you are using LinkedIn in that way, go to your Google Calendar or whatever product you use and give yourself a reminder to follow up. You will look so considered and so considerate, and they will love it. It's not desperate to pay attention to the details. Pay attention to the details. We appreciate it. So you can follow up and say, hey, you said a job would be advertised. Is this the right link? If you found it, do your research. Don't ask questions you can Google. Or, you said it would be advertised. Is it out yet? If you haven't been able to find the job ad, or, whatever you said you would follow up about, follow up, follow up, send emails. This is true for coding challenges as well. Like if you're a software engineer and you've submitted a coding challenge and you're just like, that was not right. That was not good. Recently I supported a student who submitted a coding challenge and was just like, I don't know what was wrong with me. Like, I don't know why I did that. And she sent an email to the business that said, I'm really aware I did a bad job. I don't know what was wrong with my brain that day. If I was doing it today, what I would do is this, and what I would do differently is this, and this is how I would have solved it. What I know, because the business called me to tell me, is she actually got 0% on her coding challenge. 0%. The hiring manager showed that email to the CEO, and the CEO said, I don't care. That's the attitude. I can't teach that attitude. I can fix the coding errors. I can't teach this attitude. I want you to offer her the job. And she got it, even though she got 0% on that coding challenge. So absolutely follow up. Absolutely own your mistakes. You are human. Like, it's not a big deal. We've all made mistakes. I regularly use the wrong name for people I'm connecting with on LinkedIn when I'm, doing too many things on too many screens. Say la vie, Sometimes you'll hear no, and sometimes you'll make mistakes. Just take ownership and follow up.
That's actually a great example, Huon. The actually like going back and show that you care, and explaining the situation. And sometimes it feels so obvious, but often we just not doing it. And it's quite interesting that sometimes I like things like that obvious. When we get to this like a mindset of like rushing, worrying, and we just not doing simple things like this, like following up and admitting that we made some mistake. Yeah. So, and it's great because like sometimes I think it's not a rocket science, but these little things make such a big difference.
Yeah, I think I'm full of things that I say that I believe to be true, and I hope other people believe to be true. But what I always say to people is, you are hired for who you are. Like, we can teach anyone the hard skills of a job, but who you are and whether that fits with our culture and our team, and whether you show the right intentions and you communicate well, that's what gets you the job, So if you're applying against Usain Bolt again, but Usain Bolt is rude in his email or lazy in responding to the invite, it doesn't work well for him. So, your intentions and your personality and your attention to detail does come through, and we do appreciate it. Hiring is long and painful. So if you make it easy for us, gosh, we love you. Yeah.
And also, like, I think some people overlook as well, you can be a second best candidate. Yeah. And you maybe you like receive a no in the beginning, but you never know that the person who accepted the job just pull out and just change their mind, took the counter offer from the current company, or something happened. And if you're sending the follow-up email saying that, like, I'm still really interested, anything come up and so on, you're on the top of the mind straight away. Yeah. And again, like from the hiring manager perspective, they don't need to go through recruitment process again because they just lost their like best candidate. You just remind them about yourself and you're like, here we go. He's still interested. That's great. Because they not always will be willing to like call someone they already rejected.
Exactly. And that's such an important moment to follow up. So, one of the most heartbreaking things that can be a job search setback is you've done your interview, you've done your technical test, you've done your next interview, and then you miss out. And, at that point, you're really positive about it. You've told everyone, oh, I might be getting a job here. And then it's a no. And that hurts our ego, It really does. Of course it does. We don't like to be second best. But that's when you need to eat a nice slice of humble pie and still send a beautiful email. Give other people the benefit of the doubt. So, pretty much the email copy that you have in the slide.
This one.
This one. Thank you for getting back to me with your hiring decision. While I'm disappointed to hear that it wasn't me, I really appreciate the time. I've loved learning about your company. If anything happens in future, I'd still love to be considered for the position. And if there was anything I could have changed in how I'd interviewed, I'd love that feedback. Go in with a generosity of spirit and a curiosity to learn about yourself and how others perceive you. And that just leaves such a good impression. And you might find the other person didn't accept the contract because of money, or you might find the other person didn't accept the contract, or they did and then they left 1 month in. Whatever it is, it's another one of those things outside your control. But what's in your control is always your attitude, always your response, always your behavior. And look, I'm not a regular yoga practicer. I don't have some sort of magical calm spirit. I think that comes across pretty clearly, right? I'm a little bit hyper. But you can be as mad as you like at home, or, wherever you are. Scream into a pillow, go for an angry walk, do some burpees, whatever. Then you write a really nice email. That's what it always comes down to. Then you write a really nice email and you give other people the benefit of the doubt, because they're people.
I'm a bit of a yogi person. I can share. If you want some technique like this, there is a technique that's called dropping an anchor. When you feel a bit like overwhelmed and like, again, worried and stuff like this, it's basically a technique of like coming back to present moment and just basically coming back to, present moment, thinking about what you feel at the moment, noticing like 5 different things around you, wiggling your feet, and just pretty much just going back to the present moment without keep looping in your mind, like what's happening. Just Google dropping the anchor. It's really, really simple techniques, just like 5 steps, just like you get in this overwhelmed state and, you do this 5 steps in your mind, and if you need to repeat it again, and then you send the email.
Exactly. See, that's realistically when I'm overwhelmed, which is a lot these days. So I have 2 small children in lockdown in Melbourne. Hello, how you doing? I walk out onto my deck. I go outside, and love him or hate him. Pete Evans would have told you to put your bare feet on ground. There are all sorts of things you can do. Find something that works for you, and that will be different for lots of us. Maybe you want to play a really angry round of Smash Brothers on your Switch, whatever. It doesn't matter what your coping tactic is, as long as it's, safe for everyone. Then you write a nice email.
Perfect. And as we just shown on the screen before, you pretty much have a template right here. So just recommend screenshotting it right now.
Yeah, love a template.
And I think we have a few comments there. Michael have some questions as well. In terms of like following up, are there any good tools for tracking job application?
That's a great question, Michael. I'm a big believer in Google Docs. So I use something. Why I like Google Docs, or why I like a cloud-based, just like straightforward Excel spreadsheet, is it doesn't have to be too hard, and you can share it with an accountability buddy. So if you're really looking for another job and you're doing heaps of job applications, share it with someone in a similar position, or a friend, or whatever, someone you trust to check in on you to make sure you're meeting your targets. But also in a spreadsheet, you can track who you spoke to about the job. Did you do any networking? Link the cover letter you sent, link the resume you sent, so that when you get that phone screening call and they say, hey, we're just checking if you're still interested in this role with blah, 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 blah business name, you can sit down, open up the spreadsheet and go, oh yeah, absolutely. What I loved about your culture was, you've got notes from your research in there. You look really professional and polished and put together. If you're not a big believer, another tool that I really love is Notion. It's free, Notion.io, I believe. And you can just go in there and they've got a template for tracking jobs. They also have a template for everything. So Notion's just like a wicked free tool. Yeah, great question.
To be honest, last time I looked for a job, I just used my Samsung Notes. As soon as I spoke, and then just because it's on my phone, so like, as soon as I speak with someone, I'm just before, like, then the memory is fresh, I'm just quickly put, okay, I spoke with this person, that's what they mentioned about the company, I like this and this, I don't like this and this, just to like put a quick note, because we forget, like you especially if you speak with few people a day, you just simply can forget what you talk about with this person. And and then obviously if you remember some details, people feel like you care. If you remember how many kids hiring manager have, and next time you come and say like, how's your kids and how's homeschooling, it's much better impression than asking, oh, do you have kids still? Like
no, I pushed them off the balcony. What I don't recommend is, this guy. I'm a big note taker all the time, but I don't necessarily take it with me when I pop to the supermarket. I don't take it with me when I go to the park. I don't take it with me, you get the gist. What's good about Google Docs or a Notion or just your notes in your phone is you've got it with you. So I love that.
Yeah, because you never know, someone called you and you kind of, this person, I remember I talked with them, but what it was like, come on, we're all humans. We can't remember every single conversation we have, especially if it's like a high volume and you've been like applying and people calling you from different companies. Make a note.
Yeah, if you've applied to 10 companies and one of them calls you, you'll be like, which one was that again? What was the job title? Like, keep your research handy. That helps.
Yeah. And especially if it's this moment that maybe you're like a first or second like candidate, maybe it's a choice between like few candidates, and like, you call the candidates and like, oh, who's this again? That's a breaking point, like the break point pretty much right here.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think that can be, it can be another one of those unknowns in the job search, but every touch point, and this is an unfair expectation, but hey, this is our expectation. Every touch point, we want you to look polished and professional. So having this tool to do that really helps. And if you get a phone screening call and you are at the park with your kids, or you're running, or you're out of the house, whatever, just say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm somewhere really noisy. Can I call you back in 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever time it takes you to get home and read your research? No one expects that you're always available. So it's okay to ask for the time and space you need. But you want to look good. You want to look professional and polished. And maybe during that interview process, like Jana's saying, maybe you're sort of the second candidate, but the hiring manager can't get out of their head how great you were on the phone and how, well you spoke, and how, we're judged all the time. So you're judged in your job applications, you're judged all the time. Kind of just have to get comfortable with it or get over it, whatever. But what you are judged on is warmth and competence. So you want to make sure that you're always showing that you are competent, you're able to meet the demands of the job, but also that you're warm, that you have other people's best interests at heart, and that you care and that you listen. So yes, take notes from your conversations and look prepared. Yeah, that's what we want.
100%. I just want to address a few of the comments we have here as well. Armstrong is saying, I'm getting trained for junior web developer. Funny, I see some advertisement need 2-3 years of experience for a junior role. Look, Armstrong, that's like a massive topic. And I think like Michael already started like answering in the comments on this topic. Often they want to see 2 or 3 years of industry involvement, meetups, education, hobby, etc., plus some experience working with any job part-time during school is fine. And I also, Armstrong, I really recommend, so what you can do, we had actually separate conversation with Michael a few months ago, how to build your career path from junior to senior developer. And that's exactly what we talk about. So if you go back to the YouTube channel to this topic, Michael actually went step by step, what's the stages you go from the junior to senior developer. But Huon, if you would like just to, quickly add something to...
It's like those dot points. ignore it. We're always willing to bend our own rules if you show that passion and that, I've been hired into roles I had no business doing because I acted like I really wanted it, and I showed that I would learn anything they needed me to learn. And so when we say 2 to 3 years of industry experience, to Michael's point, what we often mean is, I don't want to be teaching you how to write an email and how to not annoy your colleagues on Slack and how to use Google Calendar. Like, I want you to have some professional skills and ability. I don't want to need to teach you how to adult while I teach you how to code. So they're not really asking for 2 to 3 years of paid coding experience. They're they're asking for you to showcase that you're a grown-up and that you can do the job. So any transferable skills you can showcase, I've been working in a retail environment or a hospitality environment, but that's given me stakeholder management skills, and that's given me time management skills and organizational skills. And I believe they will be relevant to this role. And while I don't have 2 to 3 years of paid coding experience, I've been coding since I was 12 years old, and I'm confident any skills I don't yet have, I will be able to pick up in the short term. You just show you one.
Great point. And I guess what we discussed with Michael before is like your personal projects. And especially if you did some personal project that related to industry you've been working for, like if you've been working in a restaurant and you help them with something and optimize something for them, like a stock take or anything like that, and you can actually show that you solved some problem with your technical skills, that's one of the best examples.
Yeah. If you're getting a lot of feedback in your job search that you don't yet have enough paid experience, start volunteering. Like, I know it's not paid, but it's doing real projects for real organizations for real impact, and it gives you referees for when you get past that interview stage. So, sometimes, actually, no, scratch that. Always getting that first job is the hardest. You just got to break in, and then it all gets a lot easier. So, show you want it. Start going to all the meetups when you can. Come to things like this. Ask questions like you're doing the right stuff. Make sure you're talking about it though, because your work doesn't speak for itself. You got to show it to us. We only look at your resume for 7 seconds. We only look at your LinkedIn for a few seconds. We're looking for a reason to say no. Give us a reason to say yes. Maybe give us a custom landing page on your portfolio website. If you really go above and beyond, you can have a job.
And I think you also have a great example here in your slides that I really wanted to show as well. About focusing on the goal, how to not to give up.
Absolutely. So, hours ago when we started, I said, if you're looking for a job in your current industry, if this is your second or third IT role, you can expect 100 applications to net 10 interviews to get one job offer. If you are going for a new job, so if you're going for a junior software developer role and you haven't had one before, or you're career changing, those stats change. It's 200 job applications to get 10 interviews to get one job offer. So, much like that slide, 250 applications, 15 chats, 9 interviews, 6 on site and 1 offer. That's what you're playing against. It is a hurdle to get in. It is a barrier to entry, and it will take dedication, but so did learning to code. Like, you can absolutely do this. You've done harder things. So, just give it the time and attention and focus it deserves, and go talk to people. Don't think just applying to a job on Seek gets you a job. It doesn't. Talk to the hiring manager, talk to the team, talk to the other devs.
100%. And guys, so we're already getting to 45 minutes in our chat. I know we can talk forever, especially now with the 2 people who loves talking. That just we can keep going. But please, obviously, make sure, if you feel like you are getting value from this discussion, make sure to hit this like button. Yeah. So I need some encouragement as well. I don't want to feel like no one listening to my show. So please give me some love if you're getting value from our today discussion, if you're enjoying it. It's pretty much just encourage me to keep going and bring like different experts from my industry to share their knowledge. So before, like, prepare some last questions. I think we have last 5 minutes to answer a few more questions. So think about the best question that Huon can answer before we wrap up. And just while you're thinking about the best question, I'm just going to remind you that next week we're going to talk with Michael, and we're going to talk about top tips on how to tackle a coding challenge. So quite a specific topic next week. And we also will talk about, I guess, relevance of coding challenge as well, because that's another, massive topic. Because what company actually trying to achieve by giving coding challenges, and is how relevant they are to the job description as well. So there definitely will be some points to cover next week. So please make sure to join us on the 13th of October at 5:30 p.m. So what's Michael? Okay, Michael obviously have a question. Panic, the ultimate setback. It's 1 week before I'm due to start a new job. My notice period has just finished. My new employer just called to say me they will drawing the offer. Now what?
That's brutal. That's really, that's going to take a lot of pulling on your personal reserves to have a job offer withdrawn once you've served a notice period, etc. My first port of call would be to make sure that everything is above board in terms of the contract that I signed, and that I'm not being mucked around. So I would call my local state body on Fair Work and say, this has happened to me. Do I have any recourse? Are they within their rights? Usually they are within their rights. You're on that probation. Well, you're not even on a probation period because you haven't started. So they usually are totally fine, but you want to make sure. Look, if it's me, I'm going to go and have a big cry, straight up. That's what's going to happen. And then it's time to action plan. So my first port of call would be, who have you signed this offer with, and who are their direct competitors? I would be sending cold applications, which means an application where there is no job advertised. I would be sending not a cover letter. I'd be sending some sort of pitch deck, potentially with a video recording as well, maybe with a customized app to say, and I'm not joking about that. I've had students do this, to say, hey, direct competitor, I recently had a job offer withdrawn. That was such a frustrating experience. I think the skills that they saw value in when they offered me the job would also be of value to you. What I see as really relevant about the products that you work on and they work on is these things. And I was really excited about that role, but I'm really disappointed with how they've treated me. And I'm looking for an organization that's looking for the skill set that I have. And I think I'm hoping that you can see that if your competitor saw value in me, you can see value in me as well. Here are my contact details. Here's my resume. I'd love to have a conversation if you are looking for anyone with skills like mine. And I would send that to all of their direct competitors because, one, their direct competitors are going to value from the skill set that they would value from as well, but also probably hate them and would love to use that, honestly, as a bit of a good news story. And they'll do LinkedIn posts about it, and they'll march you out at networking events, and so they should. So that would be my tactic. Look at where the skills that brought value to that role will bring value, and full guns blazing, get out there, but it can't be bitter. Okay. So one of the key skills for jobs is complain away from work. Your partner, your kids, your dog, your mum can know how furious you are. That no one in the professional world can. Everyone at the company that shirked you needs to know that you understand that things change and budgets change and you appreciate the offer. And if things should change, you would love to circle back and have a conversation with them. We write a lovely email that says, yep, absolutely. Look, I'd like to have a conversation. I'd love to have a chat and understand what's changed. Please circle back to me if anything changes again. But would I genuinely consider an offer from them in the future? Not a chance. No. If that's how they treat me when I don't even work there, like, not a chance. They have a bad culture. Something is wrong. Yeah, that's how I would manage it.
No, perfect answer. And I'm so glad I never went through that. But thanks for such an in-depth answer. I love the idea of going to competitors. Now, definitely a great point, because, competitors love to see mistakes their competitors are making. And, 100%. And, as long as it doesn't sound the good point, as long as it doesn't sound beat up, as long as, again, your
pitch is that you have skills of value to offer that were valuable to a competitor. You can see the transferableness of those skills, and the similarity in the products that made you excited about the work at X is applicable to Y. That's your message. Positive, easy breezy, beautiful cover girl, at home seething, but never in public.
Perfect. So, Huon, I think like as much as I want to keep talking, and I think like we didn't go through didn't have a chance to go through some of the slides. Let's just maybe finishing here.
So I think there will be jobs you don't get that you really want. There will be jobs you didn't really want that you don't get, and that's a weird one where you're like, oh, I didn't even want you and you don't want me. But your day is made up of many hours. So make sure that you're not just in that job board hole applying for jobs. Speak to people who do what you love. Do what you love. Code, design, read, network, and listen to podcasts. Remember why you're even putting all this effort into applying for jobs anyway. Stay in touch and stay on the tools. And that gives you stuff to talk about in your cover letters. It gives you stuff to talk about in your interviews. Oh, have you listened to this podcast? It was so great. Have you come to like IT Careers with Yana? She gives some great tips that could be really relevant for your talent acquisition team. Show that you're involved in the community, be involved in the community, and do the stuff that brings you joy, because that makes it a lot easier to apply for jobs every day. So what I usually recommend, and the people I support are job seeking full time, so they're not doing it while working and adjust accordingly. I don't actually even say go on job boards. I say sign up to LinkedIn emails and sign up to Seek emails, and that'll give you enough, Then spend time on Monday researching the companies of interest. And on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I just want you to be connecting with people on LinkedIn and seeing if you can have conversations about the role, about the business, about et cetera, et cetera. And then on Friday, the ones that you've heard back from on LinkedIn, they get your best cover letters, they get your best application, they get the most effort. And the ones that didn't get back to you just get a template resume. There's a quality and a quantity and a sort of communication priority there. And the rest of your time, do the stuff you like, do the stuff that lights you up, because no one on earth is lit up by pressing send on a job application, So make sure you're staying in touch with why you love and why you're applying for this stuff.
I like how in this last minute you basically gave like a whole like roadmap how to look for a job with like a schedule for whole week. Here we go. You see.
I know what problems are going to come up. Time management's a big one. Yeah.
to the point. You see, like if you follow the structure, I think like nothing can go wrong, because you just follow the structure, save 250 application, and you're gonna work for Google.
Yeah, like exactly. Like 250 applications is a lot of work, but stick to the goal.
Yeah, and I guess also we didn't have a chance to talk about it as much, but yeah, make sure you get the feedback and you adjust. So there is obviously no point to keep doing absolutely the same 250 application, because you can't doing the same thing and expect different results. But like get the feedback, adjust, and keep going. And obviously, I guess, keep doing what you love. And if you keep doing what you love, eventually you don't even need to apply for jobs because recruiters will be on to you.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Yeah. I look, last final thing, because I know we're so over time and I'm so sorry, but roadmap, if you're not getting enough feedback, if you've used a resume for more than 6 or 8 weeks and you're not getting callbacks, I want you to create 2 different resumes and test your data. So if you're applying for 12 jobs each week, send 4 jobs this resume, send 4 jobs this resume, send 4 jobs this resume, and see which one works, right? Test your own data, get your own feedback to make sure that you're saying the right things, and use those free applicant tracking system tools as well to make sure that it's getting past the robots.
100%. Perfect, Huon. I guess there's so much knowledge you can share with us regarding the job search. Guys, make sure to connect with Huon on the LinkedIn. So is it LinkedIn the best way to connect with you? Or
it is absolutely the best way. Yeah.
Best way to find you. So make sure to connect and watch your content, because as I know, you're posting a lot of things around the around the job search. So make sure to follow the content, and sometimes just by commenting and getting genuine LinkedIn content, you never know where it can get you.
Yeah.
So
Michael said it, but participate in the comments on LinkedIn. That's a good idea.
100%. And also, I guess, we want to do like a little nice giveaway at the end of our stream. So we definitely have a winner here. So Armstrong, thank you so much for asking so many questions. So and I guess as a little thank you from us today, Huon will have a 30 minutes video coffee with you sometimes this week to get not this week, what's today, Wednesday, to get your takeaway and sometime soon. So to get your takeaway giveaway, please takeaway, right? It's a dinner time, get your takeaway.
Yeah.
To get
on LinkedIn, send me a personalized connection message, please, just to make sure I know who you are. Say, hey, it's Armstrong. You promised me that you would review my LinkedIn, that you would review my resume, and then we could have a bit of chat about anything else that's a blocker in your job search. And looking forward to hanging out and finding out what's going on for you, and seeing if I can't give you some handy tips to help you overcome those barriers. So it's linkedin.com/in/Huon-Latham, and yeah, I'll see you there. I'm looking forward to it.
Congratulations, Armstrong, and make sure to connect with me on LinkedIn as well. So make sure to connect and say hi as well. I just joined. We're finishing up. How to get a job as a junior developer having no Australian experience. That's probably the most common question everyone asks. So massive topic. So that's probably something to think about. We did cover some of those topics before. So if you go back to the channel, we have a bit of a discussion with Gabor about how to build your IT career after moving to Australia, and definitely check out Michael's interview as well about how to build your career path from junior to senior developer as well. So and we're about to finish our live stream. I'm still trying to wrap up, and I'm trying to wrap up before we hit 1 hour mark. So thank you so much again, everyone. Thank you for your participation. If you have any offline questions, please do not hesitate to contact me on LinkedIn or connect with Huon as well. Okay, that's it. And I'll see you next week on Wednesday. And thank you, Huon, again for joining me tonight.
Thank you, Yana. It was really fun.
Thank you. See you guys.
Bye.